6:30, so we will start the public hearing.
So just so you're aware, we do have a public Google Meet for anybody who wanted to join electronically or share comments in front of that. As I've shared with the board over the last few meetings, the instructional minutes waiver requires a public hearing because it is in state statute. And so anytime you want to waive anything from state statute, you have to hold a public hearing. You're probably most familiar as board members with a budget hearing. And then we have our annual meeting right after that and vote on things. So it's the same type of thing. It allows a part for community members to ask questions in a back and forth type of setting, and then prior to voting on anything. And so districts across the state are taking a little bit different approaches, but it does require a public hearing. And so we decided to pull the public hearing outside of that, and you'll notice that later on in the board meeting agenda there is an action item to approve the waiver. And there is a resolution that's in there that we've taken off from the WASB website and followed that language. So the waiver for instructional minutes, by law, there is a certain number of minutes which equates to hours. Essentially, for school districts, there's a number of minutes for K-6 that there is 712. We always, and 712 has more hours, so we always base our school calendar on those minutes. The number of minutes that are required virtually as compared to face-to-face is a little bit different, but the assumption is if you have any online classes during the school year that they follow the number of, it follows the same amount of work that anybody would have to do to attain that same amount of credit, and so therefore could loosely equate to the same number of minutes. We would like to believe that we are still providing a high level of quality education when we switch to virtual. However, for us to be able to make a definite situation that the exact number of minutes and hours is exactly the same, that would be challenging to provide, I think, any school district. In the statewide meetings that I've had for all superintendents, I don't know of a single district that is not moving forward with a waiver. So all of the public school districts that I'm aware of, none of us, and none have been reported that they are not turning in a waiver for instructional minutes. And so this is just to talk about whether you as residents or if there is anybody else who is online watching has questions about the waiver itself or just the formality of what it includes. Some districts feel like they're meeting the requirement. However, even if there's one person that would question whether or not it was the same as if we were in person, this sort of precludes you from having to statutorily meet that as far as what that looks like. So I will leave it at that. Just for your point of reference, if a school district was going, sometimes a school district who has referendum construction will ask for a waiver of minutes, or they will ask for a waiver of the start date. And so a very similar process has to happen if you want to start prior to September 1st because you have construction and you want people out of the buildings earlier, you'd also ask for a waiver. So not super common. Typically under most conditions there are only 6 ways that you can ask for a waiver around any of the state statutes. DPI came together and said these are extraordinary circumstances and included that as one of them. And so the process for us to do is very simple. I fill out a Google form and say that the board approved that, and we're good to go. We don't have to say how many minutes we did or did not have or how far we short, just that we won't meet the statutory timeline of the number of minutes that we have.
Okay. Any comments?
Kathy, there aren't any people online? Nobody's online, and there were no emails. Okay.
Any other comments?
When will we know if it's approved?
It's pretty much automatically approved. I mean, I have to fill in the format, we have to put the date, we have to sign the resolution, and then as soon as I submit it, they would have no reason not to, so.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
So that would be the end of the hearing.
Okay. Well, great.